through. A ver que está preparando ya Zoom el link. Es que me da como una barrita, me está diciendo, estamos con tu meeting y que no se me olvide hablar en inglés.
Para mí también.
There we go. Okay. And there we have it. We are officially live on YouTube. So hello everybody. Sorry, we were doing the preamble in Spanish because of course Vanessa and I speak in Spanish a lot. So hello everybody watching from home. Hope you're doing good. And welcome to a new live interview here in World Virtual Tours. Today we are with the amazing Vanessa, who of course many of you already know from our tours. But well, the point of today's interview is to get to know her a bit better more. So yeah, we hope that you enjoy this. If you are watching us live, please let us know. And if you have any questions or whatever, it will come through. And if not, after the interview, you're also very welcome to interact with us on YouTube, Facebook, and all of the usual channels. And on that note, and without further ado, Vanessa, please introduce yourself properly in case that there is someone at home that don't necessarily know you. Let us know, where you come from, what you do, all that jazz.
Bueno, hola Lillian. Hello everyone. It is really a pleasure to be with you this Sunday. For me is afternoon time. Probably for you can be nighttime. So, well, thank you so much for spending with us some minutes of your day. Well, as some of you know, I am a tour guide based in Lima, Peru, capital of this wonderful country known as the land of the Incas, but also the land of the, best food in South America. Well, maybe some of my friends from Bolivia and Ecuador will be not so happy with this, but we are very, very proud of our food. So let me think it is the best food in South America for a moment. And well, always happy to have you here in Peru, in Lima, taking you to different places in the city, and especially talking about history. My passion is history from the pre-Hispanic times, the pre-colonial era, until the current history that we are building day by day. So, well, I hope you enjoy this meeting. And if you have questions, well, I'm happy also to answer them.
Yeah. I have on my phone our YouTube channel in front of us in case that you guys need anything. I'm actually watching through. But Vanessa, actually, I wanted you to tell us, because I don't think a lot of people perhaps in our community know, when and why did you decide to become a tour guide? Like, was it a moment of, I wake up one day and, yeah, this is what I'll do. Like, how did you reach this job?
Well, this job is really my passion in life, but it was not really my first sort of like preferred job. I didn't even knew this job until let's say 2001. So let me tell you a bit of the story of how I ended up being a tour guide. Initially, I wanted to be an archaeologist. That was my dream. When I was in school, I love history, especially the last years of my high school or secondary school. We call it secondary school here in Peru. So history, archaeology was really like my thing. I felt it was for me. So I tried to go to the university. I tried with the admission exam. It was very tough, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't pass the exam. So I felt so sad. In the meantime, during that year of preparation for the next exam for archaeology in the University San Marcos, which is, by the way, the oldest university, Royal University in the Americas, was established in 1551. So it's such an important university. Yes, it is very, very important, very historical. So I prepare 1 year English in English language, not with the intention of becoming a teacher, but well, English is always important. Doesn't matter what you do in life. So in that process, I learned a little bit of English, and I tried my second trial for archaeology, and I was not able to pass the exam. So I was so sad, like very, very depressed. And it is like my dream was taken away from me. Well, that exam is really known as one of the toughest exams, admission exams in the country. So I remember my best friend, she still is very, very close friend to me. She recommended me this other career that was sort of like aligned according to what she thought she knew me very well, that I would like, which was, well, being a tour guide. Like tour guiding in Peru is a profession that is controlled by the government, so you have to be licensed to do this job. Like, I don't know, maybe in Italy or maybe in Egypt, so you have to have a license. And well, she said, well, Vanessa, this profession has a lot of history and archaeology, and you love to talk, so I think this is for you because you have to talk a lot. So I said, well, I'm going to give it a try. So this, differently to the university degree, well, tour guiding is in Peru technical education. So you can do it as a university degree only in Cusco, but in Lima and in the rest of the country is a 3-year, let's say, course or career. So after 3 years, it was 2006, I started to work as a tour guide. And well, I started to also use my English. First, like it was very basic English, but I have like 18 years practicing English. So that's not the, if you practice the more, it gets better. So practice makes the master, right? I think that's a very famous saying. So that's how I ended up being a tour guide. And also, last but not least, I think that after falling in love with my profession and being able to really like be a mediator between the archaeologist's work and the historians' work, and their work is basically more like the investigation first. I think more sometimes in a very introverted way, in the sense that they are more like into the field. I love to be that link between the people, the travelers who probably are not very prepared in the sense of understanding every detail like of the history, but they are open to learn. So trying to be that link and help them to understand the history of Peru in a more like easy way manner. So well, that's why I think this job is so important.
No, that's great. And I mean, I feel bad for you because I know historically the access point for archaeology in your country, I know that in general is very, very tough. Anyone who is in the field of history or archaeology, if you know the international scene, you know the places that have very high standards, that's a very tough one. But I'm very glad that you managed to find, that connection, which I think is what a lot of us eventually did after having done the other route. We were like, actually, maybe this wasn't the right thing to do in the end at all, which is kind of funny. So in a way, it's kind of good that it worked out no matter what, and that you actually ended up really loving what you do and giving it a lot of meaning, which I think is very important. A lot of tour guides that I have known didn't always necessarily come to the career or the profession because they loved history or archaeology. It was just because in their country, like for example, I'm speaking from the point of view of Spain, tourism in certain parts of Spain is the main way of making money. So it was like a guaranteed option. So it's nice that your passion in a way found you your true standing, and that gave you, a way of still staying close to what you wanted, which is very nice at the end of the day. And look at you, now you're here, you've been doing this for a really long time, and obviously it's going very well. Vanessa has been very busy, in case you don't know. So it's obviously all for the best. Well, on that note, and now that we know a bit more about, your passion for this, tell us why was your dream to become an archaeologist? Why did you think, yeah, I want to be like Indiana Jones, or did you have like a specific thing that you really liked about it?
Yes, well, in Peruvian schools, and this probably some people don't know, like we, especially in national government schools, I attended all my life to government schools. We are very focused in building the pride for being Peruvian, and since very early ages, we are exposed to, for example, learn about the ancient cultures of Peru, like for example, Chavin and Paracas, and the Incas, no, but also we are introduced into the conquest, the arrival of the Spanish, and sort of like in a way, like trying to understand who we are nowadays. We are a blend of societies. So that's for standard for all children, but of course everyone is different. For me, it was that initial contact with archaeology and also being fascinated. I remember with the Paracas society, this very ancient culture that deformed the skulls of their children for when they were adults to have these these huge, like conic shaped heads, and to differentiate them from other people. I remember I was so fascinated by it that even in my house I continue studying it, and that's something that I think in the beginning made me like go more into the direction of probably studying archaeology. I love art also. I am a painter, but not really a professional one, but I love to paint in my house. So I used to, I also thought at some point becoming maybe an artist, a painter, but that was something that it really didn't consolidate it. But I think that that also put me in direction also to admire the art of the past. So I think that for me, like at the last years of school, I was not, of course, we are so young, so I was not really able to understand exactly what I wanted to do, like really for the rest of my life, in the
Right.
sense that I love archaeology, but now I see me as the adult person I am, and I don't find myself like, in a small space, like, like with a brush, like for hours and hours and hours and days, and because I love communicating. So I think that at the end, well, the way how things ended up were even better for me, because I am able to also be more open in terms of investigation. Probably what I would love to do, because maybe in the future I'll go back to the university when my girls, my children are a little bit older. I would love to go to study history.
Yes.
So that would be probably more like my thing. Now I know it, but well, archaeology is really my first love, as I always say, archaeology, so much that I married an archaeologist. So
Oh my God.
yes, but that's the closest I got to archaeology.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close. So I was
Yeah.
gonna say, have you at any point had the chance to actually go to an archaeological dig and like get involved? Obviously, being married to one, I'm sure you know firsthand very well the labors and the hard work of archaeology, which is actually very tough. Like if you're doing field archaeology, a lot of people don't know, once you're an archaeologist, you can have different specialties. Some people work in labs, some people work in the finds room when they go collecting and curating all of the things. But some other people are the ones that actually have to be there, no matter what weather, rain, shine, snow. Digging in, it's hard work. I have been into a couple of archaeology digs, and it's good for a week. It's fun for a week. I'm not sure I necessarily. Yeah, it's a very good gym membership, right?
Indeed, indeed, especially, for example, in the context in Peru,
Mm,
some of the most fertile areas in the country in terms of archaeological finds is the coast. And maybe some of you don't know it, but the Peruvian coast is very arid. It
mm,
rains very, very little in the country. And that's the reason how these findings have been like preserved so well over the past of, hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years. But archaeologists are exposed to, well, all of the extreme conditions of the desert. So, well, I think that I love the history. I'm going to the sites, but maybe it's not really that much for me. So I love the glamorous part as well of being an archaeologist,
yeah.
but it's not really always like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is the reason why, I always loved history for various reasons. And I think films like, National Treasure, Indiana Jones, they make it look like super cool. And you're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And then the reality is, is very different.
Yes.
So I agree with you. I think, yeah, the other side of it is probably a bit more, what's the word? Poised, more elegant for sure. So tell us, of course, we know, or at least I know a bit more about your life, but obviously you're very busy because you have two kids, which obviously keep you running around the mill. Three kids,
Three.
sorry. Yes, I always forget about the little one. So how is, being a mom and a tour guide and, everything that you do, like, your life is very very busy. So how do you manage this? How are your kids also very much history lovers with a tour guide mom and an archaeologist dad? Do you have fights as to which historical period of Peru is better or anything like that in your house? Like, I'm very curious to hear about these dynamics.
Well, first of all, when I became a tour guide was so long ago, I didn't even imagine that I would have a family of my own. Like back then, I knew I wanted to have children, but I was so like in love of my passion of being a tour guide. So I of course started to be like a independent freelancer tour guide, which is a very good way to handle your time, your economy as well as a guide, at least in Peru. And I know that in some parts of the world as well. But also being an independent tour guide has a lot of like presents challenges, especially when you have family, because you don't have anything for sure. You have to work hard, like an ant, like be working, because later winter is coming and you need to have your savings, and you need to be sure that you're going to pass the low season without any complications. So my husband is an archaeologist, but also is a tour guide. So we
Oh,
met guiding. Yes, yes. So he decided to use his tour, well, archaeological knowledge, his let's say all the background he has, to go in direction to being a tour guide, because well, in his case he speaks Polish, so it is a very like a very unique like niche that
mhm.
not everybody in Peru can cover. So we are both very busy. So when we started to have a family, like it presented as a challenging situation, but we are very lucky here. Probably, you know, Latinos, we are very lucky because we have our mom, dad, nephews, cousins, uncles, aunties, everybody around. So, which sometimes is challenging, like, you know, like because you have to create boundaries in certain
Yes,
ways. But Latinos, we handle it very well. So, well, thanks to my mom, to my dad, also to my in-laws, that well, they are also very important stones for like pillars of our family when we are traveling. But the girls, I have three daughters. They are ages 15, 10, and 6. So they were born in sort of like this job. No? So
yeah,
for
right.
them, like I think it would be like more difficult if I, for example, switch from an office job at some point of their lives to
Mhm.
being a tour guide. For them, like this is the only way mommy and daddy like you know like works and live. But also they have their sort of like reserves about the guiding work, because they know is demanding. Mommy and daddy can be for longer times with them, and then from one day to another they disappear almost. So they love history. Well, my oldest is so sort of like involved in history, especially because it's
Okay,
everything is history. All my books are history.
that's good.
Everything is history. So at some point, I thought that well, she would like to become a tour guide, and she made very clear that that's not for her. Like
Oh,
guiding is not for her. She wants to be a psychologist or maybe like a lawyer.
okay.
That's wonderful.
That's
And
fine.
I said, like, why? Because, well, she said, well, it's a very demanding job. And well, for me, I think that I would like to be more at home eventually, like in the future. That's wonderful.
That's
But
fair.
she knows history so well. She sometimes is like in history class in her school, in her classroom, asks for like historic like events, or she has these discussions with the teachers, and she corrects them like, no, that's not how what my dad said. Not like so things like that. But
Oh
well,
God.
she loves history. That's good. I hope I'm not putting her in troubles for all the history she knows. But she's very good. She loves history. My other two as well. In my house, we breathe history, and also not just with the intention of get knowing more than any other people, is more like to build self-esteem as
Mhm.
a Peruvian, especially to build self-esteem related with what our ancestors did for us, because it's basically this idea of being proud of what you've been given from your well ancestry. So well, that's what we like here.
No, for sure. Actually, someone was just mentioning on YouTube as we were speaking about your family. Oh, so maybe that will be the future of your kids. As you can see, definitely the oldest one doesn't think so. And but you know what? That demonstrates such a huge degree of self-awareness from your kids that they appreciate what you do, but at the same time they can understand for themselves, the challenges that they are. Because you're absolutely right. It's when it's you on your own running a tour guiding business, it's, I mean, it's beautiful because you have in some ways the freedom, right, to adjust some things, but at the same time you're working with human beings and you are to some extent at the mercy of when those human beings want to go somewhere, or when they are on holiday. So it's it can be a bit more challenging, but it's lovely that it's still been like such a nice element of your family dynamics, because I am so aware that in some other places it can be like, oh no, my parents do that and I don't want to even see it. But it's very nice that it's becoming such an important part of them and of you all together. Because I think you're absolutely right. I don't think a lot of people understand, particularly, and I mean this overall for people in South America, how important the ancient past, way beyond the Spanish conquest and even the sort of later Middle Ages, even though the terminology doesn't quite apply in the same way that in European history, it's something that, and I always tell this to people, and I think you and I have spoken about this before. I think particularly for people that speak English language as their main language and that come from at least certain parts of the world, they can't understand why that ancestry is so important, and it's very much the backbone of community and being, part of who we are. So it's nice that in a way that is also healthy and that shows the difficulties throughout history and all perspectives, they can get that education from you guys at home, and have also the courage to go to the teacher and be like, actually you're wrong. Which, if she decides to be a lawyer, I think she has a career guaranteed. But
Definitely,
it
definitely. That's
takes,
for her. That's for her.
yes, it takes a lot of courage, I feel, as well, for young people to get involved in these things and appreciate them. So I think you're doing a fantastic job, and we hope that, they will be there eventually. And you never know, life does many turns. Maybe at some point in their lives, the love for history may come to serve them well. Just saying, because you never know. You never know how it's gonna
Cross
go.
my fingers, pray for that. But it's still, what is more important is that they are happy. And I know that also from my own experience, because initially, especially my dad didn't agree of me being a tour guide. And well, he was just worried, like as any dad will be, like, what is this job? Like being a tour
Yeah.
guide? Like, and what you do? Like, do you work like office hours? No, dad, we don't work office hours. Okay, so and you're going to travel?
Yeah.
Yes, with men. Yeah, like with men, women, men, doesn't matter. So he was very concerned of a young lady like traveling like to places that he couldn't go and help me with
Yeah.
if there's the situation. So, but he was able to understand it, and he's very proud of what I do here. Probably he's already watching the interview here live as well as my mom. So I think that gave me also a very good sort of like idea of what a parent should do, like just be there for, because it's their happiness at the end. They have their own lives to live, and I want them to be as happy and as fulfilled as I am. Every time I wake up, I have a tour, and I have that excitement, the first day excitement, like long time ago, that, oh, I'm going to do this, and oh, how's the group, and it's going to be traffic, there's going to be a protest, oh my God, what am so well.
All the excitements that can come with a with our very random job, because it can be very random. And I completely understand your dad's concern, because I think my mom particularly worries about me that way as well, because I'm quite small. And she thinks, I think at the beginning she was like, but what if something happens, because you are responsible, right, for all of the situations that happen out there. What if you get in trouble, what if someone does this or that? It's like, well, it could also happen somewhere else, if you see what I mean. It's no different than me walking to meet my friends somewhere. But yeah, parents worry. You know that as a parent, you're always gonna worry about your babies, even if they are not babies anymore. And for us, it's the same. So I completely understand that. And well, it's good to see though that at least the family support is there. Now, tell us, if you may, please. You've already told us that one of your hobbies, painting and whatnot. So, when you don't have tours and your girls give you a moment, what sort of things do you like doing? What are your hobbies? What are the other things beyond history that bring you joy in life? Of course, I know that food is a very big part of your life. So, tell us about all of this.
Well, indeed, you said something interesting. Like, besides working, like, my hobby could be still working in a way, because I love history. I
Yeah.
love reading history and see documentaries related to history. So that's, my daughters know that mommy usually does that when she has free time. But I also have other passions for sure. So one of them is, for example, like trying some new foods. We love to travel even within the city of Lima, to go to different places to try foods from different parts of the world. I love painting. And another thing I love to do, and I think it runs in the family, is sewing. So I
Oh,
like to, yes, my mom has a sewing machine from my grandma. And also, that was one of the ways how I was able to generate an income during the world pandemic back
right.
in 2020. So nobody was working, no tourism to Peru. So, well, I started to do what my family also did many years ago. My granny
Wow.
now is in heaven, but she used to do that also for living. So now for me, it's a hobby. So I sew
Right.
here at home, and well, still painting, and also watching a lot of like Korean TV series in Netflix. Like, that's what we do with my girls,
I do
actually.
that too. Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, I relate to this a lot. I think when you love history so much, it's kind of strange not it being part. Like the book that I'm reading right now is a fantasy historical novel. The games that I play are a historical, like it's abrasive, it's everywhere. But yeah, one of my guilty pleasures, which is not so much of a guilty pleasure, there are some very cool Korean TV series and films out there, often with a historical background.
That's the only moment when I'm not thinking in history.
For sure. But I'm so glad about this sewing thing, and that it also relates to what your family did traditionally. Because I was gonna ask you, during COVID, things must have changed, of course, for you, like it did for everyone. So, did you always know how to sew because of your family, or is it something that just you kind of thought, well, I gotta do something, might as well do this?
Well, my grandma, I lived all my life almost in the house of my grandma, where my mom lives now, and is just one block away from where I live
Right.
now. So I still are very, very close to that house. My grandma, well, she got into sewing like very young, when she had her children, and she was trying to make a side hustle, a side income for the family. So she started to do it, not really like a hobby, but she learned like with,
Right.
back then there was like these books with patterns,
Yes, the patterns, yes.
and I still have them also in her house. Actually, those books helped me later during
Wow.
the world pandemic. But I learned first from seeing her. I remember her like spending long, long hours with her. Like, she was like sewing, and I was with her, like talking, and so just spending time with my granny, which she is a very important person in my life. She's actually one of the persons that encouraged me to become a tour guide when my dad said, no, this is not a good idea. So she really was my sort of like with me now in the hard moments. So she taught me how to sew. She used to also do the clothing for my Barbie dolls, like
Oh,
from
that's
little pieces,
adorable.
from the little pieces, like leftovers of the
Yeah.
of the dresses she was doing for other ladies. So she used to do like dresses for my Barbies. So and her machines, her sewing machines, well, are in the house of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, nobody really used them for like more than one, two occasions, like
Yes.
until the world pandemic, when we were like so worried, like there was nothing to do for tour guides. We couldn't even
Mm-hmm.
go out our houses.
Yes.
So we were like, they're so like worried with my husband. We had some savings, but we didn't know like how long it would take, and it took
Mm-hmm.
so long at the end.
Yes.
So we thought like what we do for living. And well, the face masks, the fabric ones,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember? Some people started to use them when the disposable ones were not that common. So we started to do that, and then that became like something replaced by the disposable ones. So we thought like, what can we do? And then I was looking at these big books of my granny, and some of them had these pajamas patterns, the pajamas, and
Nice.
everybody was in pajamas.
Yes. We all wear, to be
We all
fair.
wearing pajamas, so working in pajamas and in the house. So well, that's how I started to do my pajamas business back then with my husband. We were both like sewing, and he was like putting the buttons to the
Oh,
pajamas. So it
so
was
adorable.
a hard time, but we were very united there. So we help each others, and the family also help us. So it was a tough time, but also a time for in a way also seeing that we are able to overcome these situations together. So I felt very, very happy for being with my family back then. But at the end of 2020, I was able to begin doing my world virtual tours, in
Mm-hmm.
that time. And finally, well, that became like my salvation for like end of 2020 until, well, more or less 2022, because tourism to Peru took really long time to be reactivated. So I started to do virtual tours everywhere, and thanks to probably some of our friends that are watching us
Yeah.
here live, were with me since back then. I have many, many good friends that have been very supportive to what I've done there, and also thanks to them, I'm still here.
That's so wonderful, and I'm so glad that you've been able to find the beautiful moments in all of this struggle, because I appreciate it was hard. Those years were hard, and yeah, for a lot of people, tour guiding was the end. There was nothing else. So through a family tradition that seemed to have been gathering dust, then you found this way and you did it together, which is a very beautiful thing. Now, I'm actually very aware we have literally just a couple of minutes left on our thing. Zoom has already told me, hey, are you aware? I was like, yes, it's okay, we got this. So on that note, and considering we need to wrap this up, Vanessa, please take the floor, and any message of hope, love, and positivity, because you're always like a radiant sun. I always tell this to people whenever I'm talking about you. It's like, oh, Vanessa is just like a sunflower. Wherever she goes, everything just lights up. So with your natural positivity and all the things that you've overcome, a last message to the people listening out there, for the future, and for your best wishes for 2025. The last couple of minutes, which is literally two, they are all yours.
Well, first of all, once again, thank you so much for being today here with us. Thank you for your support also to my old friends from the virtual tourism, for being there, for supporting, for, just for your messages of positivism, and also for our new friends that are just meeting me here in Lima. Well, I hope to see you in my upcoming events. Lima and Peru are amazing destinations. And I just want to, first of all, say to you all that, history is not just, a very interesting topic. Like through history, we can understand who we are. Also, I'm very, very happy to be part of this wonderful global group of guides, archaeologists, historians that are trying to show you our heritage. But this heritage are really the voices of our ancestors from the past that can tell us even like a lot of good examples of how, you know, we should live our lives for the face to the future. Let me wish you all a wonderful 2025. All the best to you. One recommendation here in Peru, we dress all in yellow to receive 2025 because yellow is the color of good luck. So if you want to, you know, get a local trip or let's say take to do that for next year, please dress in yellow. And also, well, hope to see you next year, you all. Well, let me wish you the best 2025 for you all. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, that's a wonderful send off, and we're very thankful to have you here in the World Virtual Tours family, Vanessa. So, thank you so much for bringing so much knowledge and so much variety into our world. And, like I said, so much sunshine. So, on that note, we will be saying goodbye to everyone at home. We're about to stop the stream now, and then I'll be saying goodbye to Vanessa in Spanish on our Zoom meeting to confuse Zoom. Who thought we were going to be doing this whole thing in Spanish, but no. So thank you so much for being there, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye bye.